Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the guy that gave me that Joe Montana jersey several years ago, Edward Halterman. He's going to tune you up on this local bite. I'll walk around with my business cards quietly. Edward, thanks for being here, man. Yeah, exactly. Thanks.
All right, I'm Edward. I've been fishing since I was 3 years old. My dad took me. The first day I went out, I actually caught a perch, which was kind of funny. Freshwater up in Indiana. Started saltwater in when I was 7, going on day-long trips out of Florida twice a year. And then recently I got into the surf perch thing because I'm so busy with work, I don't really have time to get out and go to Catalina, which I love to do, by the way, chasing white sea bass and yellowtail and all that fun stuff. So, I don't know, about 2 months ago I was kind of joking around and I actually called Phil and I says, you know what, I think I'm going to go down there and see if I can catch some surf crab. And he started laughing, he's like, what's that? And I was like, well, I'm going to try for some surf perch, but I call them surf crappie because it's the same thing to me. So I went down there the first day and I took some gulp, the camo, worms, and was catching a few fish here and there. I was using like a half of the 6-inch one. And then so, I'm experimenting, trying to figure everything out, and so I started putting on whole ones. All of a sudden my fish started getting a little bigger. So I was like, now I'm researching on the internet, I'm reading everything like hours at a time, looking at YouTube, watching all these different people, absorbing everything. And then one guy in particular that helped me with most of it's Ron Schmidt. He's been doing this for like 50 years and he's the best guy out there, period. Nobody will touch that guy. And so I really sat him down one day for like 4 or 5 hours and just really grilled him on everything. And a lot of his techniques I definitely use, but then I've kind of come into my own and stuff that I like to do. Like my rig basically is a Carolina rig. Everybody knows what that is, but I guess the funny thing is that I do that other people don't do is I use a real heavy line. I mean, I'm using 25 pound. That's basically my leader line, and just triple X Iser. And I use a 12 pound on my bait caster because I'm a good caster but not a great caster, so 12 pound is about my limit. And this has been working really good for me. I mean, and the only reason I use this is it's left over from sea bass fishing, because I learned through really fishing sea bass hard that sea bass could care less what you throw at them. You can throw a rope at them. If it's got a squid on it, it's game on. I mean, I fish them 80 now, and I catch the same amount as everybody else on the boat. Doesn't matter. So anyway, this is 25, which was my light sea bass stuff, and one day I was just kind of joking around in the garage, and I was like, I'll tie out some 25. So I went down there with a buddy. I think that day I ended up with like 37, released them all. He had 3 fish. And in defense of him, I was fishing Sidewinder Crab and he was fishing the gulp, which is usually you'll get more bites on the gulp. But the bigger fish are going to eat the Sidewinder crabs. I actually brought some. Because, Edward's always got crabs, so you want to pass that around and everybody can kind of look at what they are. And you can find those basically anywhere you got Little Rocks, White's Point in San Pedro, Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach. They all got Sidewinders. The reason a lot of people don't use them is it's a lot of work. I mean, I'm turning over sometimes, I probably look pretty wiry, but I'm turning over boulders that are like 100 pounds. And usually those real big ones got like a bunch of these under them, and then it's a mad dash trying to grab them all. But anyway, this is one rig, and now Ron, he uses a double rig, and basically it's just got a triple swivel. Triple swivel's right here, and he's got a hook here, and he puts the weights here, and the deal is you want to leave like 4-inch gap in between, so when it rolls around, it's less odds that it's going to tangle up. Now, he fished with me today. I only got 4. Today was the worst day I've had in probably a month and a half. I've been getting more than limits like every single day. And the irony was today it was the best conditions down there I've ever seen. I mean, no pounding surf. It was a little bit dirty. It was just pristine. I mean, there were sand crabs popped up, and it was just perfect. But not a lot of biters. But Ron actually had 4 fish over 3 pounds today. It's pretty cool to see. But this is how he was doing it. So I don't know if this rig is better. He says it is, and I believe him. But I'm going to keep fishing my my way because I'm used to the feel of it. You know, it's all about.
Edward,
Yeah.
just to put things in perspective.
Yeah.
What are those? 2-pound fish?
Yeah, I got a 2.2 and a 2.5 in there.
So Ron had 3 pounds. Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah. His biggest one today, he's turning it in for the, I think it's called Southwest Anglers or Southwest whatever. Anyway, he got a 3.2 today. So I was his witness, so it's pretty cool. But anyway, the deal is with this, you know, you got, like he says, you got 2 baits in the water, so it's almost, in a sense, like chumming because you got more bait than just me with my Carolina rig. But the flip side of the coin is you also burn through twice as many bait. So for me, it's all personal preference. Whatever makes you happy and it feels good, I encourage to use it. Yeah, sure, it'd be great. Watch the bottom hook, you might work somewhere. But you know, that's basically the deal. It's all personal preference. There's another one. This is another double rig here. Let's see how I got this thing around. I don't want to put any lights out or anything. Yeah, this is another double rig, and this is basically used with like a pyramid sinker.
Yeah, I saw that in the picture.
Same deal as the other one. You got, it's 2 triple swivels. You want to keep the gap there. The deal with this is you just stick the rod in the rod holder and it hooks it for you. And I'm sorry, for me that sucks. You guys will catch way more fish doing it this way, but I want to feel it. That's why I'm going. I want to feel the beauty of it. I want to feel the whole deal. That's the whole deal. Why go if you don't feel anything? There's no point. But if you want to increase your catch, this will definitely do it. Now the other thing that's, I guess, counterintuitive to the way most people do it, I fish a sea bass rod. And you probably will never see anybody fishing the sea bass rod for these things, but I do. I just love this. It's a 15 to 30. I want to turn the fish right away. That's the first thing I do. As soon as they bite, I've been noticing if I start whining, because I pull really hard, that's a yellowtail thing, I'm just used to it. I pull fast and hard. And when you turn them around in the surf and you get them coming towards you, it's game over pretty much. But if you kind of finesse them and play with them, what I've been learning these last few days is when they get going sideways, that's when they could spit the hook. Because when the surge is going back, that 3-pound fish is now a 12-pound fish with the surge and physics and all that crap. So this is how I do it, and I love it. You know, the only negative is these things don't like sand. So spinners can take sand a lot better, you know, a lot less maintenance. This is the new dye they just came out with, and it's beautiful. Now the other thing I'll do sometimes is like the day before I go fishing, I'll walk down there on a low tide and just kind of survey. I'll walk for a mile, 2 miles, just kind of looking to see where the cuts are, because generally if we don't get the weather, the cuts are going to all stay the same. So you want to find out where the biggest holes and the troughs are. You're going to have one inshore trough, then you're going to have another one further out when you got a low tide happening, and then there's all the cuts in between. So on a low tide or minus, it's really cool to go down there and just see the lay of the land. You know, another thing I look for when I'm on the beach, I look for the sand crabs, look for the V's, look for the little antennas sticking up out of the water. I call these conditions. So when you see that, that's a condition. That's an area where the bait's going to wash out and the fish are going to be generally sitting on it. Another thing is if you find these little shells, like almost clam-looking things, I've been seeing those in the bellies of some of these that I do, you know, take home to eat. So.
Question, I see a lot of that down in Torrance Beach, Redondo Beach. I mean, just a lot. So I suspicion something's eating there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
definitely stop on it. Yeah, because you know, a couple of these that I've filleted, it's been in the belly every time.
Okay, great. Thanks.
So yeah. So that's another condition. If you see those little clams, definitely sit on that. Now the cool thing about these sidewinders is, for me, it's like, the best way to explain it is, let's say you eat hamburgers every single day for a week straight, which is sand crabs, okay? Sand crabs are the hamburgers. And then all of a sudden, there's a big pepperoni pizza sitting in front of you. How fast are you going to eat that pizza and not eat the hamburger? Same deal. When you're throwing a sidewinder into the surf, it's the same deal. And they see those things and it's just game on. The bigger fish, that's all they're going to eat besides like a big sand crab and mussels. Mussels is a great way to go too. I just don't like that stuff, you know. But you'll catch the most fish on the gulp or on the mussel, but the big ones are going to be on the sidewinders or the really big sand crabs. Another thing I was noticing the other day when I was down there, I got 35 fish yesterday, released them all, just kept a few to bring down here. And I had guys on either side of me. And the fish were basically from here to where that container is. That's how close the fish were. And all these guys, you know, they got their waders, they're going up, you know, oh yeah, I'm gonna bomb it to the moon, and these guys are throwing it out. I'm just looking down the beach like this, and then this other guy kept seeing me hooking fish left and right, so he's edging this way. And I just looked at him, and I don't mind if people fish around me, but it's like, if you're gonna go into the water, then I'm gonna get mad. Because one of my rules is, if you go into the water, you're standing on the fish. Because 9 times out of 10, when that water comes in, the trough is right there. So a good way to find me on the beach, I'm like this. This is how I usually fish, just like this. I pitch it right there, and I'm just like this, because think about it, and a lot of people don't. If the fish are right there in the trough, what do I look like to them? I'm Darth Vader. I'm this dark ominous shadow, and they're looking up. If they can find this little dinky thing, do you think they can't see 6 foot me standing there? Yes, they can. So I've noticed also when I do that, my bite count goes way up. I mean, it's dramatic. So anytime I see somebody, especially with me, I'll yell at them, get down! Because it's natural when you're standing there and you see the water, oh, I want to feel it in my toes, I want to go do this and go that. And then you want to get up there because they feel like the closer you get, the further out that thing's going to go. But it's actually not true. I mean, yeah, you might get an extra 4 feet, but it doesn't matter. The fish are right there. So don't overcast on the fish. Every once in a while, when you do cast out, maybe they aren't close. Maybe they're a little further out. Maybe they're in the secondary trough that's on the low tide. But generally speaking, they're all going to be within the first 15 yards of the beach. I mean, that's it. You know.
I'm not a surf fisherman, but is it better to fish when it's flat calm? Or if the surf is like 6 feet, it's no good, right?
I don't like that, but I did get bitten in a real high tide, but for me personally, my sweet spot is the 3.5 to 4.5 tide. That's what I like.
Okay.
With no weather behind it. You know, it's like, I even check marine weather, because if you got like a bad forecast, that's going to create the same kind of conditions, you know, as you take your boat to Catalina, it's going to be kind of the same in the surf. You're going to have those sets rolling up really quick. And when they're really close together, I found, it's not as good. You know, and I don't like a big 6 foot thing, bam, you know, slamming down, because for me, that's too much. I've gotten bit in it, but my best bites are like the lower tide, like a 3.5 to a 4.5. And yeah, exactly. And yeah, leaning more towards calmer conditions. Yeah. But the cool thing is about that tide range, it still kicks the sand up, it keeps it kind of murky. You know, you want to look for like the whitewash, that's a condition. And then as far as really finding the troughs and the holes, just when you're walking down the beach, I guess the best way to explain it is just look for something that's out of the ordinary. I mean, when you're looking down there and you see, you know, a wave rolling over, you see this wave rolling over here, and then it's flat in the middle, generally that's a big hole and the thing's dropping down and it's losing its energy because it's getting sucked into a hole and it just lays out flat. That's a hole. You want to fish that every time. If you're on the beach, you see it V'ing out like this and going back like that. A lot of times that's like a rip, and it's going to create like a swirl action and all kinds of stuff that's going to circulate the bait. Fish that. My God, fish on that all day long. Today that was the case, you know, when we went down there this morning, we were about 2 hours before the high, and all those big fish were boom, boom, boom. I kept looking over at Ron just going, man, dude, you're a wizard, bro, you know. Yeah, fish that. The other deal is when they shut off, you got to find the fish. These fish are always moving up and down the beach. I mean, I've seen time and again guys just standing there for hours on end. Oh, the fish aren't biting. Maybe I'll go home. Today, a new friend of mine down there was fishing because he saw me whacking him yesterday, and all of a sudden he's like right where I was catching him today, and I was like, hey dude, you know, I just kind of blew it off. But he was down there, he couldn't get a single fish, and I was like, are you done? Are you done? He's like, yeah, I'm done. Okay, cool. Cast it out. The first cast I'm bit because he was fishing in the perfect, all the cuts were perfect. I mean, holes everywhere, troughs everywhere, and I just knew it was going to be game on. And I called Phil, I go, dude, it's on, you know? And it was just boom, 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 fish after fish. Ron ended up with his limit, and I ended up with 4 or 5 fish today, so this is actually my slowest day, so. But, yeah, let me see if there's... Anybody have any questions?
Do you prefer a certain time of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I like 2 hours before the high tide and 2 hours after, but last week I went down on a minus tide. It was like a -5, wide open bite. I called Phil on that one too.
You call me on every, you're always doing it.
I know, it's a curse.
Yeah. I mean, like morning or afternoon, right?
Let me see.
Oh, just anytime the tide is right. I mean, these things will bite all night long. They will bite through the night. I mean, some of the bigger fish are actually caught at night.
Yeah, it's all the.
But
I couldn't.
I'm a daytime guy. You know, I like to sleep. So, but although last week when I went, they were forecasting 50-mile-an-hour winds just for this little stretch in El Segundo. I
they
called
hook it
Phil, I said,
right-
hey man, this got to be a typo, right? Checked 4 other sites, all the same thing, and I'm working. I do real estate, so I'm like doing website stuff for my real estate and everything, and then all of a sudden the forecast came down to like 9 miles an hour. I was like, okay, I'm back, and then I'm looking at my watch. Now it's 3 o'clock. And I got to get up in 2.5 hours, but man, I got up and I went and did it. I ended up that day, I think I had like 41 fish or something, I don't know. Sometimes I lose track. Yeah. What now?
Do mood cycles affect how the fish run?
From what I don't know with personal experience, but from what I've heard, the guys say when the moon is full, they eat all night long, so maybe in the day they're not as hungry. So that's what I've heard. And I don't know if it's true, because in my experience, I haven't really fished the night. I mean, I'm basically on 2 months of doing this right now, so. But I've spent hours and hours of research and everything.
Yeah, what's the most exotic fish you've caught on the coast here in this area?
Most exotic fish?
Surfing. Anything exotic? I mean like a halibut or anything? Have you caught any?
Oh yeah, I've done all that. Oh yeah, soup-fin shark. Yeah, I've had 100-pound soup-fin sharks, and that's actually coming up in August. If you go down to the pipe in El Segundo, all you want. All you want. Yep, all you want. Soup-fins, leopard sharks, just fish like half mackerel on like a 14-16-0 on a wire leader. Game on. Lots of fun. The cool thing is about this is like the perch are going to go for about another month, and you'll catch them all year long. It's not like they just disappear, but these bigger ones are in tight, you know, doing their thing, letting their young go. And, you know, as we go forward, basically, within the next month, these halibut, and I've already been seeing the halibut, they're moving in. So that's my next target, because that's one of my specialties, is halibut, you know. Last year I actually got into a wide open bite at Catalina that was 6.5 hours of halibut fishing. I love halibut fishing. So how I do that is I go catch live smelt and I carry them down with aerators on the beach. Nothing better. Live bait, yep, live bait. But any other questions?
This gentleman would like to know where you get the live smell. How you get them and where you get them.
The best place is Cabrillo Beach Pier. It's a ways. Somebody just told me they're all over Manhattan right now, though, too. I usually go to Playa. The bridge right there in Playa, that's where I go. It's easy. It's close to my house. But I went the other day and there wasn't any on a high tide, so I don't know what the deal is. Maybe the water was dirty there. I don't know.
You mean Bologna Creek?
Yeah, Bologna Creek, yeah. And then if you look on that bridge right there, there's a little manhole directly across from it where the boats go out of Marina del Rey. There's a little, if you go across there, there's like a deck right there. And there's like, it's like, I don't know if that goes back to Venice or what that deal is back there, but they're usually loaded up in there. And there was nothing. Because I was actually going to go do that like a week and a half ago, because I've been seeing what I think are halibut. Now the other thing it could be is actually stripers. A friend of mine just caught a 20-pounder 2 days ago in El Segundo. Fly fisherman. Talent. So, but yeah. Let me see if there's anything else that I missed here. I think I've covered just about everything.
Edward, I got another question for you.
I don't have the answer, dude.
Watching Amador by Esteros, this guy I just
Yes.
seen there.
Yes.
He's not fishing the Sidewinder
Nope.
Crab, and he's doing really.
No, he's getting, I would say he's probably getting 75% more bites than I am. I mean, every cast the guy's loaded up with fish. And he's using the muscle. And like I said, that's number one, muscle or the gulp. I just don't like that stinky stuff on my hands, you know? Especially if I want to touch somebody I care about, you know?
What would you tell? Where would you tell people to fish tomorrow? If they could go tomorrow.
El Segundo.
Okay, you would, all right?
Oh yeah, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, go
That's the office. I got to clock in. Got a schedule to keep, man.
Is that in front of the Edison on the south side of the jetty?
And then the other thing I try to tell people is to keep when you're fighting these fish, keep the rod tip, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. I see a lot of guys doing this and doing this. Now maybe it doesn't matter that much, but for me, if you keep the load on the fish, like a sea bass or whatever, like its natural way, your odds of getting that fish are going to be a lot better. If you're pointed like this, think about it, your hook's more like this. You're giving the fish all kinds of opportunity to do different things. If you load it up like that, it kind of digs in and sticks in the fish. So.
That factory south there, El Segundo, does it push out any warm water?
Oh yeah, off the pipe?
I was wondering if there's
Yeah.
truth to the fact that when there's cold and hot water convection in the middle, that's where a lot of fish like to swim.
There's 2 pipes.
Yep.
There's a large 1 mile pipe, which is overflow and it's not used very often. That's for a backup. And then the main pipe goes out 5 miles before it releases. So I don't know that you're getting any warm water coming out that close to the beach. I'll let them work on both.
We have a water and power, right?
Actually, I can address that.
I told you.
Those here are going to make it really simple. Some of the state laws have changed, so in a couple of years, that plant, instead of discharging hot water into the ocean, will be using radiators and letting the heat go into the air. So,
Does it discharge warm water now, Will?
yes, water is released at about 130 degrees after
How
being
far out
created.
though?
That's a 5 mile pipe. The 1 mile pipe is only for emergencies like total disasters and power failure, which we do have from time to time. So if you guys want to go out and catch some of those fish under those conditions, you've got about 5 years before the system of heat discharge changes. So inside information.
Hey, and by the way, to answer John's question about that, for those of you guys who are old like me, there was a bubble hole inside the Redondo King Harbor. I don't know if you remember that bubble hole there. All right. Well, I mean, it's still there, but we used to go in there. We come in off the half-day boat. I was a kid, but it was the worst thing you could do to your passenger. We'd be out for a day, half day's fishing. The passengers caught 3 blue perch and a blacksmith.
Anyway. Yeah, that's the. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hold on.
How are they with soy sauce?
A little garlic and it's all good. But the other thing.
Tony, try one.
The other thing that I do, I guess that a lot of other people don't do is like when I get bit the first time, instead of like doing all this stuff or whatever, when I get bit, I just lightly take it back and see if the rod loads up. Because if the rod loads up, I know it's already sucked it down to its bone crushers. So when the rod loads up, it's just one smooth motion back a little bit more, winding into it. I just usually never do this stuff, ever. I learned that in Florida. Because in Florida, they were like cursing me out, you never swing on fish in Florida on deep sea, ever. So I kind of took it to heart because their philosophy is when you wind it, that's the quickest way to set the hook up rather than jerk it. Sometimes when you jerk it, maybe it'll whip your line and actually pop the hook out rather than setting the hook. So I know it looks cool. I mean, it looks a lot cooler to see guys going like this, whatever. But for me, it's just like this. Okay, it's loading up. One smooth motion, back, boom, game on. And then reel like crazy. So. No, just I use a triple X 25 pound. Yeah, the only time that the leader really matters is if you're fishing Corbina. When that happened, I've been seeing a lot of Corbina down in El Segundo too. I actually caught one with my bare hands the other day. Funny story, true story. So I'm fishing, catching these perch left and right, and I'm down there with a buddy, and I see this Corbina come up on the beach, and the wave already went back, and I go, oh my God, and I ran and I jumped on this fish, and my buddy's laughing, sand flying over me. I grab it, and the fish is like barely kicking. I throw him in the bucket, I'm like, yeah, look at this, I'm the bomb, I caught this thing. And he's like, no way, dude, something's wrong. So he goes and he grabs the fish, and there was a seal patrolling the whole day. So we had to actually work to catch him yesterday. It was really hard. We still ended up with a ton of fish, but so he pulls it out, and sure enough, he was right. The seal had hit it. It didn't pierce its skin, but it like scaled it a little bit in the size of a seal mouth. So he was running smack at me the whole day. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I told you." It was pretty funny though. But
What reels are you using? How do you keep with that?
this is the new Daiwa that they just came out with. I don't know if it's got it's called Alexa. And, you know, like I said, these are, I'm going to actually have this in service. I've been going, I usually go like 5 days out of the week. And I've been doing this for 2 months straight, and it's like, it's got a lot of sand in there. So, and I'm not about to go Forrest Gump and try to take this thing apart, no way. So, I think Daiwa charges like $10 or something to clean it out for you. So, they're really good about their service, excellent service. So,
Just gonna send it in, or do they?
I think their shop's up in Cerritos, so I'm just gonna go and drop it off. And then I got a couple backups at home that I'm gonna fish, so. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Great job, man.